So the first thing we're going to just do is try and create a neutral spine, which often means trying to widen the sit bones. We don't want to have our spine being totally flat. We want to have natural curves. So we're going to widen through the sit bones. You want a little curve in the lumbar. And we want the rib cage to be open and relaxed. And then we're just going to try and keep that position of the spine as you push through your heels. And it's often just a good way to warm up, trying to keep that neutral spine. And we do about 10, so it's a nice easy way to start. Pretty much right away, we're just going to put your toes onto the bar, keep a neutral spine, and try and grab the bar with the toe. So try and spread out and actually grip it like a monkey on a branch or something. That'll often bring your knees together. So then you just take your knees out. And then we push with our toes like that. Often for about 10. Try and keep that position of the foot as you lift the opposite leg up. Notice how your spine will often want to go into being impressed, so we have to try and keep neutral. So spread the sit bones and then we push out on one leg. With this leg you can either point it over the bar or go through, and we do about 10. Swap, and we run through that twice. Inside of the foot, you're going to use the inside of your knee a bit more, and it's going to stop your hip from turning out. So we don't want this to happen when we squat. So we're trying to keep it all on the inside of your leg. Okay, once you have your 2 rounds, we're just going to try and keep this position of the foot. So when you're using footwork, you typically want to be on the inside of the foot with your heel out. We can take one leg into tabletop and just lower and raise your heel. Often the heel will want to swing in, and that's us trying to use the outside of our knee, which is a common problem for knees and stuff. So we're trying to keep the heel out. Take the ankle up over the inside of the foot, so that sort of toe area. And we're going to do about 10, maybe 20. So when you feel like your calf has fatigued, just swap to the other one, the same thing. So we're really trying to keep the heel out, raise that ankle up over the inside of the foot. Very good. The same, and we're just going to swap again and repeat that twice. once you've done your 2 rounds, last but not least, we're going to sling squat, which is really kind of helpful to warm up ankles and knees. So we're just going to lower your heels, squat down, raise your heels, push out. So we're slinging the leg. The same thing, your heels will often want to swing in and your knees will want to turn out. We're trying to almost keep them lined up or keep the heels out a little bit as you raise them up. And then that's normally a pretty good warm-up. So once you've done your sling squats, just rock your knees side to side to warm up through the back or to stretch the back out a bit. And then we're going to do a hip bridge. Place your legs either on here or on the platform. The platform is normally a little bit better. And then often with a hip bridge, we'll externally rotate the hips, which becomes a bit of a problem. So often low backs and stuff can get really sore when our hips are very good at externally rotating, which is turning out. So we want to try and internally rotate, which is actually the natural position for the hips in extension. So a ball is one of the greatest tools in Pilates. You just have a ball there, you don't have to squeeze it, but you just hold it there. Have your weight on the inside of your foot, so we're not turning the heels in, we're not on the outside of your foot, we're on the sort of toe inside of the foot with your heels out, and we're just going to try and raise up. We don't really have to do a roll up because that often aggravates backs as you do it. We're more just trying to extend the hips. So we're just going to lift the hips to the ceiling, push your knees out to the wall, and lift your chest. If it's sore on the back, you just push your hands into your reformer like that. And we're going to do about 20. I know, everyone's being very quiet.
I was going to say, where's Angie?
I know.
My mum's going to say, this is a really quiet class.
Yeah. Okay, nice guys. So after 20, we're going to try and hold a hip bridge, and then we're going to take that, if you can, into a single leg bridge. If you can't, you can just push in and out like this. So ideally, we're going to try and lift the leg up. What often happens when you lift a leg up is the rib cage or trunk will drop on that side. So we have to try and keep the trunk up, keep your hands anchored as we lift up. If that is too easy, you can lift up and push out. But it's normally okay. And we're doing about 20 or 10 on each. Once you've done that, we can take out the ball, have your weight on one leg as you drop the opposite knee to the side. That's a good exercise. Often when if I'm dropping my left knee, often what will happen is the rib cage will want to drop with it, or the knee will want to come with it. So you've got to try and keep the grounded legs stable, and keep here open as you drop a knee out. And you're taking your weight off that leg you're dropping to the side. And we're going to do about 10 on each, or 20 all up. If you want to make it harder, you can thread the leg under But as long as you're trying to keep that rib cage neutral, because it should be coming from the hip. But normally this is a nice way to get the sense of it. And that's normally a nice little variation of a hip bridge to get you started. So then once we've done some hip bridging, we're going to put our legs into straps. You can normally keep the springs on the same, so to keep it somewhat steady. And then often you want to keep the ball close, so just hold it there. What often will happen when we're here is two things. Your spine will go impress, which means it's pretty flat on the reformer, and our hips will often turn out because the straps will sort of turn our hips out. So we sort of right before moving, we have to actively try and create that neutral spine. So wide sit bones, get your tailbone long and open up through your rib cage. And then we have to try and get these hips and legs into an active internal rotation, which means we push through the inside of the foot. And again, using the ball can be really helpful to help us get the hips in the neutral. So then if we're doing a straight leg press, often what will happen is people will turn the hips out and they'll do this. Happens to a lot of people. It doesn't really help anything doing that. So we're trying to use the inside of the foot, roll into the ball, and slowly push down, down, down like that. You shouldn't feel much change happening in your spine. So it should be happening all through the hips. And we're going to do about 10. Nice. So we're really trying to get that sense of like rolling into the ball. We don't really have to squeeze it, because often when you squeeze, you'll externally rotate your hips with it. So it's really trying to get a roll as we press out. That's the key. So once you've got the hang of that, we can hold the end of the range there, and then we're still going to roll into the ball as we bring the legs up, and you want to try to keep your heels out of it. So oftentimes when people are doing strap or leg work, this happens. The hips will externally rotate. Nothing really good comes of this. It doesn't really do anything. So we really have to try and roll in, push out. It's kind of what your hips want to do when we extend. So push and then back up with a neutral spine. And then you've got a couple of variations from there. We can either hold if your legs are okay with that end point, and you can just take your hips going side to side, but that's quite a hard exercise. So if that's too hard, that's okay. You can hold the hip in that slight internal rotation and do leg circles like that. So it's okay to turn them, but we have to use the inside of your foot. Really commonly in leg circles this happens, where people are just stuck in external rotation and they aren't active with it. It doesn't really do anything. So we need to be active with the foot, internally rotating the leg like that. And then it's normally nice to run through that twice. So once you've done some leg circles, we're going to do the same. So use the inside of your foot, roll into the ball, press out, keeping a neutral spine, and then wide hips at the top. We don't want the tailbone to lift like this. That doesn't really help us too much. It's mostly with the hips. You can start doing that stuff, but that's a bit more advanced. So we'll do another 10. And then we're going to do a leg press, another 10. Really trying trying to get that sense of rolling inwards through the hips, which often means trying to keep the heels out a bit. It's often nice to have you stretch. So active leg circles, try and use the inside of your leg and the strap, and then we'll move on. Okay, so it's normally nice to go to arm straps after leg straps, but we want to take it to a lighter spring. Go to a sort of medium spring if you have a shoulder condition, or if you want to work hard, do a heavy spring, which is a red one. Up to you guys. We can use the ring or a ball, or the straps. I'm just going to use the straps to demonstrate, but if you want to use a ring, you're welcome to. And yeah, we'll set up the same way. Okay, so when you're prepping yourself when you're prepping yourself for the straps with your arms, I like to use a ball again in between the knees. The hips are doing exactly the same thing as in leg straps. Often when people take a tabletop, they'll be like this. So they'll be externally rotated. Commonly, it winds up back. Essentially in this leg position like that. So heels are often out, and you can roll the knees in a little bit. It's a bit harder to hold, but it's a lot better. And we're going to hold the short strap with your hands out like that. Once you're out like that, we're going to try to relax the shoulder blades and have wide collarbones. So really commonly we're here and we're externally rotated. We need the hands down, so we're on the inside of the hands, wide collarbone. That's the main thing. And then we need to be relaxed. Slowly pull down. The main thing with arm straps is the overhead bit, which is up here. So often we're just slowly pulling down like that, and then we're breathing in to come back up. And we're just nice and slow, pulling down with the inside of your hands. I often use the analogy of like clawing your hands through honey or something like that. So we don't want to be kind of dropping the elbows on the outside of the wrists. That'll just use your lats. So wide collarbones, pull your fingertips through honey, and then breathe in to come back up. It's a really nice exercise. Often cranky shoulders can tolerate it, and it's quite good. If you want to make that harder, all you do is you point your legs out like that, breathing in to come back up. So the main range with arm straps that kind of works is over your head here. Nothing much happens down here. This is easy. It doesn't really do anything. So spend your time all the way over your head, really trying to relax the back of the shoulders. And we're going to do 10 and then 10 little ones over your head. Again, if you want to make it harder, you just point out. Just like the leg straps. Okay, after 10 and 10, it often gets hard holding your legs up, but if you're all good, we're just going to widen the elbows down, spread out your collarbones, and then start to push down with the inside of your hand. If you're using a ring, you can do a tricep press, like that, with a ring. But with straps, we're just going to turn down, pivot up. I always think of pushing a wall, so your hands are pushing at a wall and you're pushing it to the ground. And up. Nice. So after 10, you probably want to rest your legs, and then we'll do 2 rounds. Okay, so the second round is exactly the same. We're just going to repeat it. Often you can kind of get your neutral spine, relax the shoulder blades, have that weight on the inside of the hand, and then we're going to pull down slow, breathing in, coming back up. And then, just like before, after 10, we're going to pulse over your head, claw your hands through honey, and keep your elbows out. Common cheats are to drop the elbows and use the armpits, which aren't going to help anything. So, elbows are out, pull down with the fingers. And then after about 10, we're going to take that same movement, but we're widening the elbow. Think of pushing into an invisible wall and pivot down and up. Cool. And then we'll move on. So we're going to come next into a kneel with a lighter spring. Normally on these reformers it'll be a green. And I think we can all kneel. This is a nice exercise. Okay, so you can have your hands either on the bar or on the platform. Up to you guys. The setup is exactly the same as all the other exercises. So we ideally want to be grabbing the bar with the inside of our hand rather than on the wrist. That's quite important. So we're kind of rolling down and we're grabbing the bar well. Relax the shoulder blades. And have your kind of weight on the big toe. Once you're there, the rest is easy. You try and just open the chest as you rock down like that. If that's cranky on the shoulder, you can often just take your hands really wide and it opens up the shoulder a bit more. The main ways we narrow the shoulder is by dropping the elbows down like that. That'll make us use our chest. So if we're wide, it's hopefully okay. And we're just going to do about 10. If anything's ever sore, you just do a little bit. You just do half range, like that, or you do what you can. So then we're going to take the arms into a comfortable overhead point, about there. Try and keep everything kind of limber and loose. We don't have to hold any tummy muscles or anything, and we're just going to push the legs out. Your stomach muscle will naturally contract. We don't have to pre-tense it. It's one of the biggest mistakes in movement and Pilates and stuff. Nice, guys. And then after about 10, if we can place your hands onto the platform now, and then we're going to kick a leg up into the air. Often you notice when you kick a leg up, the main thing people often do is they take the weight off their right arm and they'll turn their leg out like that. So here what we're trying to do, push down into the right hand with the elbow out and kick your leg up like we had in leg straps. So we're trying to keep that knee in, keep the heel out, like that. And that's a good donkey kick. Normally once you get that, we can often kick up, we can often have the opposite arm in the air. And then if you want to make that harder, we can kick out the carriage like that. It's a really nice exercise once you get it. You need strong triceps. So we'll do about 10. And then we'll swap. Left arm, left leg is exactly the same. So we're just going to drive down into the inside of your left hand as you kick that left leg kind of up, swinging the knee in, keeping the heel out. So we're not doing that. Once you get that, you can normally use the other arm and move the carriage. Nice. Okay guys, so once we've done that, we're going to change it to a red spring. So add on a heavy spring and we can rest the arms for a bit. We're just going to do a kick back like that. It's exactly the same as what we've just done. So you're going to hold the bar, have your weight on the inside of your foot. Try and sort of, often if we're standing, this happens. So we need to try and drive through the arm and leg together, like that. And then that'll normally stack our trunk over our hips. And we're pushing through the inside with the knee up. Often this happens where we'll externally rotate the leg. We need to try internally rotate into extension. It's how the hips are made. That's it. We'll just aim for about 20 and then we'll swap. And then we'll run through that 2 times, please. Nice one, guys. So when you've done that, we're going to put the box like this and we'll do some arm straps. You normally want a green spring or a light spring. Do a blue for you, Pete, I think. That's a bit heavier. Okay, so the main way we irritate shoulders are when we overuse the collarbone and the chest muscles, as well as externally rotating the arm, because it creates often impingement and creates inflammation and rotator cuff tears and all this nasty stuff. So what we want to try and do is when we're training the shoulders, we want to keep the shoulder blades relaxed and back, have wide collarbones, and internally rotate the shoulder. So it means we're trying to get a little chicken wing, where we're like that. Often when people train shoulders, this happens. That's the shoulder you're externally rotating, and you're often using the chest, and that'll just make a cranky shoulder. So we need to go wide, chicken wing, which means the elbows are up, but the neck is relaxed, and we're slowly punching wide. Often if your hands are coming together, it can wind up shoulders. So think of the letter Y, and we're going to punch out into a Y, and then slowly back with the sort of shoulder blades. So we're wide press, shoulder blades are back with the elbow up, and we're going to do about 10. Guys, so once you've done about 10, we're trying to do the same thing, and only do this if you're okay with the shoulder. We're trying to turn up, keep the collarbones wide, and use the muscles in the back. So often when we're going overhead, we'll use the chest, which is this, which will feel really easy. So that's the chest coming into the movement, and that's a major reason people will get impingement and rotator cuff tears when they can't extend their trunk and they use the chest. So we have to try and keep the chest out of it, collarbones wide, use the muscles in between the shoulder blades to glide up with the elbows wide. Often this happens. So elbows out, inside of the hand, gliding up and down, use between the shoulder blades. And we'll do about 10. And then after about 10, we're going to get your elbows up, point them in and forwards. I think you've got laser pointers coming at your elbows. You want them to be like train tracks. But then we're trying to relax through the shoulder blades, and then we go. So then we're doing a skull crusher. Often this happens, so try and keep your elbows forward, shoulder blades relaxed and back, and then press. Good, and then have a break, and we'll do 2 rounds. Okay, we're doing the same thing. So I should have said before, if we're tucked on our pelvis, it's really hard to open up the chest, so this often happens. We want to be really kind of spread out on your sit bones, so you can open up your rib cage. And we're doing a slow press, collarbones out, try not to close in. So we're wide, like a little Y. Nice. And then we're doing the same. We're going to turn up. Keep your collarbones out of it as you push over your head, using the muscles around the back. The straps normally help you get the shoulders back. If that's painful, you just try and hold and get the shoulder blades back like that. Or even if that's sore, you might not want to do it. And then after 10, we're going to do another tricep. So elbows up, straighten out. Nice guys, so then we're going to come into either a plank or a 4-point push out to stretch. I think most of us will just be on our knees, but if you want to plank, you're welcome to. So we're just going to go like that, have wide sit bones, and then we're just going to push the carriage back. This is often nice to do after the strap work or the press straps. So we're just pushing, keep the elbows out, use the inside of your hand and push the carriage away. That's it. So then after about 10, we're just going to try and hold out the carriage just where you're comfortable. So have your weight on the inside of your hand, elbows out, and try and drop your chest through. And then we're going to just hold that position as your cat-cow. So you're trying to close your chest and open it. Often we're very good at doing this in life. So we often need to do this. Extend the thorax. Drop it through. This one, guys. And last but not least, we're just going to do a row, because I was actually meant to do it after the straps, but I skipped ahead. So we're going to go back a step. Place the box on again like that. We're just going to repeat to reverse the press. Okay, so cross over your straps. So often with a row, whether you're at home or in a class or something, people often will do that. Really common. So they'll externally rotate their shoulder. And it's a really common problem where people get very stiff in the external rotators. Not the rotator cuff, but the teres major and the lat. So they'll externally rotate and they won't be able to use the shoulder blades. So with a row, we have to try and take that arm position, wide collarbones, try and get your shoulder blades to glide together, and then we're going to try and pull the knuckles down and into the armpits. So that'll bring the shoulder into a bit of internal rotation, and you should be able to use the shoulder blades well. So yeah, we don't want this. We want shoulder blades and then internally rotating the arm. And we're going to do about 20. Even if you just do little ones, it is better than doing this. Rows commonly aggravate rotator cuffs and stuff just because of that. Okay, after 20 have a break and then we'll do 2 rounds. Okay, same thing. Okay, last but not least, just have another quick stretch. So spin your box and we'll just have another one of these because I had to kind of double back. So just stretch out through your rib cage. And then